In the 2010 NBA season, Amare Stoudemire, who is currently with the Phoenix Suns, was very close to being traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers at the trade deadline. This trade would send Amare to the Cavs to join LeBron James in what the NBA would see as one of the deadliest duos in the NBA at the time. So obviously this trade never happened and Amare remained with the Cavaliers, which sparked LeBron to leave as he had no other stars with him. So now, today's video, we're going to be talking about what if Amare Stoudemire was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So with Amare and LeBron both set to finally chase that ring LeBron was after, they needed that third piece to really help bolster their defense. That third piece was Tyson Chandler. He was signed in the offseason to help the Cavaliers get to that next level. So now, coming off a 15-win season, Dwayne Wade was looking to take his talents somewhere where he knew he could be a contender. And obviously, with the Knicks not having to sign Amare in the offseason to a max contract, they had all the money available. So they signed Dwayne Wade. And they also still had the trade assets to be able to make a trade for Carmelo Anthony. On top of this, they still had plenty of money left over and decided to add their final piece to their big three, Chris Bosh. The big three was then set in the Big Apple, opposed to Miami, and the Knicks hoped to dominate the entire NBA in the hopes of chasing an NBA ring. In order to be able to acquire Carmelo, obviously the New York Knicks would have to send their 4th overall pick from the 2015 draft down to the Denver Nuggets in exchange for Carmelo. With this pick, the Denver Nuggets would eventually end up selecting Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps would join his fellow teammate Kenneth Faried, aka the Manimal, in what the Nuggets were hoping would be one of the more dominant front courts in the NBA. The Nuggets also became one of the few teams in the NBA history to have 2 top 10 lottery picks, in which they used these both on Emmanuel Mudiay and Kristaps Porzingis. The Nuggets also had a developing defensive presence in Nikola Jokic and hoped to become one of the better teams in the near future. Now, obviously, the big three in Miami would have never happened if Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James, and even after Dwayne Wade left, the Heat came off a historically terrible season in which they would get the 1st overall pick in the 2011 draft. With this pick, they selected Kyrie Irving, who would join his fellow teammates Hassan Whiteside and Justice Winslow, and hope to develop into a dominant team in the NBA. The big three in Cleveland, with Kyrie, Kevin Love, and LeBron James, would have never happened either, and Kevin Love would have stayed put in Minnesota alongside his fellow teammate Ricky Rubio. Rubio and Love were obviously not enough to take the Timberwolves to that next level, so in the next couple of years, they ended up drafting Karl Anthony Towns, who they hoped would take the Timberwolves finally into a nice playoff run. Now, we go back to Phoenix. So obviously, if the Heat drafted Kyrie Irving, Dragic would have no business doing down there in Miami. So Dragic, alongside with Eric Bledsoe, would have remained in Phoenix into what would become one of the more dominant backcourts in the NBA. Dragic, obviously, and Bledsoe were not enough to take the Suns to that next level, so in the 2015 NBA draft, they selected Devin Booker in hopes to taking that backcourt to that next level. Now moving down to Milwaukee, where we join Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, and Greg Monroe. So as we know it, Andrew Wiggins would have never ended up on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that pick would have actually been sent over to the Milwaukee Bucks. So Wiggins would be joining the Greek Freak, and it would be an insane front court / backcourt, as they're both very versatile wings. Chris Middleton would have also signed with the Milwaukee Bucks, along with Greg Monroe, and obviously with Dragic still in Phoenix, Brendan Knight would have no business down there, and would have remained with the Bucks, and the Bucks starting 5 looked to be one of the deadliest starting 5s in the NBA. Going back to Phoenix, with Dragic staying in Phoenix, the Suns would have never signed Isaiah Thomas, who was later then traded to the Boston Celtics. So Isaiah Thomas would remain in Sacramento with DeMarcus Cousins and develop into the player he is today, and Isaiah and DeMarcus would become one of the deadlier duos in the NBA, alongside their versatile wing, Rudy Gay. So, obviously, with the Kings staying with Isaiah Thomas, Rondo would have also remained with the Boston Celtics in hopes to continue that success he had with Ray Allen and Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. So now, let's get into the simulation. Alright, so now we're getting into the actual simulation of the season, and I'm going to be going through 3 entire seasons just to make sure all the players that were moving around, reach their highest potential or their peak, I guess, prime. And I don't want to do just one season because that's not enough to show you what would have happened, because obviously throughout the years, some other changes would have been made, and maybe the team would have become even more dominant, who knows. So I'm going to be doing 3 seasons for that reason. Also, obviously in 2010, some of these players were in their prime, such as I think Rondo at the time was in his prime, so I bumped up his overall to an 88. I also bumped up Amare's to an 87, and then who else did I bump up? Kyrie stayed the same, but I did Isaiah Thomas. I did bump up D-Wade to a 90 because in 2010, look at those stats, man. He was in for like an MVP year, and I think that was when he was really in his prime. So I bumped him up to a 90 there. I think those are the only couple players that I did bump up. Oh, I also bumped up Kevin Love because in 2010 I also feel like it was one of his better years. 20 points per game and 15 rebounds per game. That's freaking crazy. So I bumped him up to an 87. So those are the only changes that I did make, so it's just like a little overall change, but obviously just to, help it be more realistic than it really was before. So now I'm just going to get into the simulation, and I'll come back to you guys at the end of the season. Also, another change I forgot to mention was that I made Tyson Chandler an 80 overall. Obviously, I mean, he was averaging basically a double-double in 2010, but, 80 overall is fair for him, so I made him an overall 80 overall as well. So guys, we have reached the end of the season, and I'm going to be going through the league leaders in points per game as well as the MVP and all the other awards. So let's get into it. So the leading scorer still Stephen Curry, and everything seems about normal. The only difference here is I see Kyrie up here. He's also injured. That's going to kill the Heat in the playoffs, and he's averaging 25.1 with the Heat, which is a lot more, well, not a lot more, but quite a bit more than he was averaging while he was in Cleveland. So Carmelo also injured. That's going to kill the Knicks as well, but he was number 9 on that. And that's your top 15 right there. I'm just going to go through all the positions very quickly, and now let's get into the award or all-star participants. So Rondo actually made it, along with Kyrie, Carmelo, and Chris Bosh. So, Chris Bosh is out for the season, and Carmelo's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Wow, that is gonna kill the Knicks in the playoffs. That sucks. That really does suck. So now I'm just gonna check if Isaiah Thomas or nope, Ricky Rubio made it. Wow, but Kevin Love or Isaiah Thomas or Dragic, none of them made it. So now I'm just gonna sim this last game here, and we're going to take a look at our award winners. So KD is your MVP, Jahlil Okafor is your Rookie of the Year, Joakim Noah, 6th man, DeAndre, Defensive Player of the Year, McCullough, Most Improved, and Greg Popovich, Coach of the Year. So none of the guys that were traded or any of that won any of these awards, so that's kind of unfortunate. I wanted to see something to happen with that. Let's take a look at the first teams here. Second team, Carmelo's there. Obviously, he's out. Third team, Kyrie's also on there. He's out. Defensive teams, I see LeBron there. No one else though. Rookies, yeah. So that's about it. So now we're in the playoffs. So you see the Knicks were the number 1 seed, but I don't think they're going to be able to pull anything off now that their big 3 is injured, for the exception of D-Wade. Boston also ended up making it. Cleveland also made it, and so did Milwaukee. So the 4 teams, for the exception of Miami, most of them ended up making the playoffs. The teams who had like pretty big changes, I guess. So Minnesota also ended up making the playoffs, and that was basically the only team that I did anything to on the West. So now we're going to sim the first round. Let's see how the Knicks hold up without Bosh or Carmelo. And they actually didn't do too bad. They actually ended up advancing the first round. So did Cleveland. Minnesota ended up getting knocked out, however. And Milwaukee, Cleveland, and the Knicks all ended up advancing. So those are basically the 3 teams, again with the exception of Boston, who got knocked out, and the Miami Heat. They all advanced to the second round of the playoffs. So that's pretty cool, and I expected the Knicks to dominate, and hopefully, maybe by this point Carmelo will be back. Maybe not, maybe I'm mistaken, but anyways, let's continue to simulate. And the Knicks get absolutely torched by the Raptors, guys. They get 4-1 again without Carmelo or Bosh here. And Cleveland dominates the Bucks as well. And Cleveland, oh my God, LeBron posting up triple doubles. So the Cleveland Cavaliers end up in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now we're gonna sim to the NBA Finals, and it looks like it's gonna be Spurs against Cavs. The Cavs barely pulled off the dub against the Raptors, so it's gonna be Thunder against the Cavaliers. This should be a good one. Let's go ahead and sim it. Wow, the Thunder absolutely demolished the Cavaliers in the first season, but at least the Cavaliers made it to the finals. That should be enough to satisfy LeBron to stay another year with these guys and to reach their full potential. So let's move into the second season. So before the season starts, I'm going to go through all of the different rosters to see if there's any big changes made on any teams. So the Wizards drafted Brandon Ingram, rookie out of Duke, and they also signed Michael Beasley in the offseason. Warriors team looks to remain the exact same. The Blazers brought on Luol Deng, and I guess he replaced Aminu, and they also brought on Al Jefferson. Wow, so the Blazers are kind of stacked at the moment. Timberwolves, obviously, Kevin Love went down in overall, Towns went up. So they kept basically their basics, and they added Norris Cole in there, as well as Lance Thomas and Mike Scott. Thunder kept everything the same as well, but let's just look at the teams that were affected by all these trades. So the Suns, looks like they brought on Channing Frye, as well as Etwan Moore and Jordan Hill and Zeller. Looks like they actually did a lot of additions to the team, but they kept their big three here in Booker, Dragic, and Bledsoe. Now let's look at the Nuggets. Kept Porzingis and Farid Gallinari as well, and they drafted Ben Simmons. Holy crap, that's gonna be insane. They added Larry Sanders as well, so things are looking up for these guys. Wow, oh my god, their whole team is like 76 plus. That's crazy. So now let's move on to the Knicks. Looks like they kept their big three, which is good for them. Carmelo actually went up. D-Wade went down 2 overalls. Zeller, looks like they added him. They also added Ish Smith, Kilpatrick, and that's about it for those guys. The Kings kept Isaiah and DeMarcus and added Brandon Bass. Looks like they got rid of, who did they get rid of? Actually, no, I don't think they got rid of anybody. But they added Denzel Valentine down there. The Heat kept Kyrie, Winslow, and Whiteside. And Winslow actually, or not Winslow, Whiteside went down 2 overalls. Wow, holy crap. They also got J.J. Hickson in there, and Donald Sloan and Ilyasova. Now let's go into the Celtics. The Celtics, wow, they got rid of Rondo already. Well, that was fast. Well, let's see where Rondo was headed. So the Cavaliers kept Tyson, and they got rid of Amare already. Wow, I was not expecting like half of these moves, guys. I'm serious. So I'm just looking to see where all these guys went to. So it looks like things are looking up for the Bucks as well. I'm just looking for Rondo because I didn't see him searching through any of these teams. Oh, Rondo went to the Spurs. Holy crap, the Spurs are about to be OP as hell. So Rondo joins the big 5, I guess. Their starting lineup's going to be insane. Now let's look for Amare. Let's see where Amare headed. Dirk actually went to the Raptors as well. Holy crap, so the Raptors are going to be pretty damn good this season as well. Looking around for Amare. Where could this man be? Where did he go to? Amare, no, why you do this? There he is. Amare went down 3 overalls after 1 season, and he joins the dominant back or front court of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan on the Los Angeles Clippers. So now that we know where everyone ended up, a couple roster changes. Let's just see how well everyone does this season. So the season is coming to an end, so let's take a look at our league leaders in points. Durant, Curry, and Kyrie stepped it up quite a bit, but again, he's injured, but only for 1 to 2 weeks this time, so he's actually 3rd this season compared to 7th last season, and the rest looks about the same. Jaleel's actually been stepping it up a lot as well, and Dirk over there, and Bosch is actually top 15, so was Carmelo in the top 10? No, Carmelo was not in the top 10 this year. D-Wade was 21st. Nothing too different here. So let's just run through everybody. Let's take a look at our all-star participants. John Wall, Kyrie. I'm looking for any different changes. Chris Bosh here. D-Wade also made it. Carmelo did not make it, however, and I feel like Carmelo's kind of injured or something because he hasn't been showing up on any of the stat leaderboards. So Ben Simmons, rookie all-star. DeMarcus makes it this year, and besides that, nothing too different. So I'm actually going to take a look here and see if Carmelo is indeed injured, and he's not. Looks like he just didn't play to his expectations this year. So we'll see how that pans out in the playoffs. So now let's go ahead and simulate through this last day here and take a look at all of our award winners and all that stuff. So MVP goes to Stephen Curry, Rookie of the Year Ben Simmons, Sixth Man of the Year Goran Dragic. So that's the first new different thing we see. Goran Dragic stayed with the Suns and he won his Sixth Man of the Year. Jordan Mickey Most Improved, and other than that, nothing too different on this. So the first team's LeBron does make it, along with, oh, Jaleel made it. Okay, Jaylen Brown, rookie. That's an all-rookie second team. Oops, I went backwards. So let's see. Kyrie made the second team, which is cool. Ben Simmons made the third team. Defensive teams, LeBron is there. Bledsoe's on the second team. And that's about it for the first team. So now we're in the playoffs. The Knicks actually dropped from 1st seed to 4th seed, and the Heat, from not making it all last year, are now the 5th seed. Cavaliers improved to the 1st seed. Bucks improved to the 2nd seed. And now the team that we're not seeing in the playoffs are the Celtics. Obviously, without Rondo, they're not going to do too well. Timberwolves do not make the playoffs this year. The Nuggets do, however, with Farid, Porzingis, Simmons, all those guys. And the Suns do not make it either. So let's simulate the first round and see how things go. Rockets have been eliminated. Nuggets, Jazz, Knicks, Thunder, Net. Oh, Cavs. The Cavaliers got 4-1. Holy crap. Wow, I was not expecting that. Okay, well, the Heat beat the Knicks, and the Heat advanced to the second round, and the Bucks also advanced. So, compared to last year, it was the Cavaliers and the Knicks that advanced to the second round. This year, it's the Heat and the Bucks. And on the West, we have the Warriors against the Spurs and the Blazers against the Clippers. So, unfortunately, the Nuggets get absolutely annihilated. So, let's simulate the second round, and let's see how things go here. Oh, so I saw the Bulls were actually beating the Heat 3-1, and the Heat came back and won 4-3. The Pistons also beat the Bucks 4-3, and in the West we have the Blazers. Who do the Blazers have? Sweet Jesus, let me check. Oh, that's right. They stacked themselves with Al Jefferson, and they had someone else, Luol Deng, I think it was, but it looks like he's. Oh no, he's at the very bottom right here. So it's Blazers against the Spurs and the Heat against the Pistons. So I'm hoping the Heat make the playoff or the finals, and. Yep, it looks like they are. Yep, it's going to be Spurs. Or no, not Spurs. Whoa, Blazers against the Heat in the NBA Finals. So let's see who's going to be our... And the Heat actually only went 41-41, which is pretty impressive. Oh, man, I was really hoping the Heat would come out on top. But it looks like they didn't, and they lost 4-3. So that's really unfortunate. Damian Lillard wins our Finals MVP. I mean, pretty good numbers. Nothing like too insane, however. So if I were LeBron at this point, I would probably have left Cleveland already. So, but obviously, like, I think he's going to be a free agent this summer, so we'll see what happens. Well, let's move into the next season. So again, just like last season, we're going to be taking a look at the rosters and see if there's any big changes. So it looks like the Pistons drafted Dragan Bender here. The Raptors kept Nowitzki and added Steven Adams. Holy crap. The Rockets added J.E.E. But let's look at the teams that were affected again. So Bledsoe, Booker, Dragic all still there. Bledsoe's actually been going up in overall, along with Booker, whose potential is going up slowly but surely. So it looks like the team remained kind of the same. So now let's go to the Timberwolves. They kept Towns and Love and added C.J. McCollum. Wow. And they'll still have Rubio and Levine. They're gonna be a lot better this year. So the Blazers obviously lose McCollum, but they keep their Aminu, Luol Deng, and Al Jefferson. So these guys were actually the champions last year. Let's see if they can continue their success without McCollum at the 2 guard. And let's move on to the Bucks. It looks like they kept their big 4 here along with Knight and Monroe. Nothing too big here. Let's move on to the Cavaliers. So the Cavs actually added Ibaka to replace Stoudemire, I guess. Kept Chandler, kept Tristan, added MCW along with Brandon Jennings, Eric Gordon, Mario Chalmers, oh my god, and Kent Bazemore. So they added a lot of new faces to the team. LeBron's still with them. I mean, that's up to you, buddy. That's up to you, but it's whatever. So now let's see here. The Celtics, Jay Crowder, Miles Plumlee, Alex Len, Mason Plumlee, I'm sorry. So nothing too special with these guys. It looks like they're still going to be quite bad. Amare remains with these guys, and old age is getting to him as his potential is quickly dropping here. So that's obviously like slightly realistic, but unrealistic, because if the Cavs would have signed him to a max contract, he wouldn't have left the year after. But that's kind of out of my control, guys. There's nothing I can really do about that. So let's move on to the Heat. So Whiteside continues to go down in overall, and I'm really not sure why. Winslow remains with them, so it looks like they kept the same team that got them to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Kyrie's a 90 now. Let's take a look at the Knicks here. They kept their big 3, and that's about all they have at this point, and they just continue to go down in overall as old age is getting to all 3 of those guys. The Lakers had Chris Dunn, Josh Jackson, and they're looking decent. And now let's go to the Nuggets, who keep Porzingis, Moutier, Gallinari, Fareed, and Ben Simmons, and Jokic. So they keep all their guys, and I mean, things are looking up for these guys. Their starting 5 looks to be like all 80 and above. So now let's simulate to the end of the season, and let's take a look at our league leaders. So guys, we are reaching the end of the season once again, so let's take a look at our league leaders. So Kyrie once again moves up to the 2nd leading scoring spot. Curry remains on top. No new faces here. Lillard's up there along with D'Angelo Russell. Looks like Kevin Love and Carmelo stepped up from last season as well, but other than that, nothing too different. So now let's take a look at our all-star participants. So Kyrie makes it once again along with LeBron, Carmelo. Giannis actually makes it this year, and those are the only different faces we see, or the only different face we see is Giannis. So the Western All-Star, Zach LaVine makes it. Wow, he's actually 2nd up there. DeMarcus makes it. Kevin Love makes it, actually, and so does D'Angelo Russell and Gordon Hayward. So now let's go ahead and sim this last game, and let's take a look at our league, or our MVP and all that stuff. So MVP back-to-back, Stephen Curry. Rookie of the Year, Markelle Fultz. Sixth Man of the Year, Joakim Noah. Defensive Player of the Year, DeAndre Jordan. Most Improved, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. So once again, nothing that we haven't seen before. So Kyrie actually makes the first team this year along with LeBron there. Marc Gasol, Lowry, Ben Simmons makes a third team again. And it looks like no big changes here once again, but now we're in the playoffs. The Nuggets barely squeeze in an 8th compared to last season. They were 7th. The Knicks make it at 8th again, so they've just been downgrading ever since their first year. The Cavaliers remain at the 1st seed. Bucks move up to 5th. The Heat don't make it this year, which is kind of surprising considering they made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I guess they were just a Cinderella story. The Boston Celtics actually do end up making it this year, along with the Bucks here. And the West Nuggets are the only team that makes it. Suns and Timberwolves do not make it. So let's sim the first round and let's see just what happens. So the Nuggets, what the hell? The Nuggets just 4-0'd the... What in the world? What did I just witness, man? So the Cavs finally move on to... Well, I wouldn't say finally. They made the finals the first year, but they move on. Opposed to being 4-1 last year to the Chicago Bulls. So the Bulls get eliminated first round by the Wizards, so do the Celtics, and it looks like the Blazers are still very dominant. And the T-Wolves actually didn't make it. I just noticed, even though they had McCollum. But the Nuggets, was someone injured? Nobody was injured. The Nuggets just straight dominated these guys. They show up in the playoffs. So let's simulate the second round. And wow, man, Cavs, Raptors, and Nuggets against the Blazers. So the Nuggets are just tearing shit up in the playoffs. So let's see if the Blazers can make it back-to-back seasons into the NBA championship. And they get eliminated by the Nuggets, and the Cavs also get eliminated. Oh my gosh, this is a final I never thought I'd see in my life. Raptors against the Nuggets. The Nuggets, man, wow. Ben Simmons is just carrying these dudes. So let's see if the Nuggets can win the NBA championship. And they do not. The Toronto Raptors are your 2018 champions. So wow, that was pretty crazy, guys. I really enjoyed doing this. If you also enjoyed watching this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Anything to help the channel. And if you guys want to see more of this, let me know and leave some more suggestions in the comments section below. So again, this isn't completely realistic, and I apologize for that, but I try to make it as realistic as possible. Again, guys, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.